KFAN Sports Time, 11:15. Welcome back. It's a Devin Ward production.
How good is camp around here, by the way?
It's an on-site production by The Con, and I'm Paul Allen. What do you mean by that?
Well, just some of the names and faces that we get to see. Awesome conversation with the GM. We're clearly not going to get to do that on a regular basis during the midst of the battle and or the season itself. And then just, again, alumni, because I am an adult child.
We'll go back to 8:45 in the morning. 8:45 in the morning, somebody pops in to say hello. Who was it?
It was Anthony Barr.
Then we do the radio show. We're having a funky good time, as we are wont to do. You mentioned the GM, and then now at about 11:10, who just popped in here?
Eric Kendricks.
With the bent out of, not former Vikings linebackers, the duo with the red hot bent out of shape podcast.
Yeah.
That we had Anthony on last week chatting about it, and you could subscribe to it, bent out of shape, or search like Eric Hendricks, Anthony Barr podcast, and subscribe to it because it's raw. It's from Eric Hendricks' garage with his car collection in there, or part of it, and a couple of guys with whom we're familiar chatting ball in raw, childlike fashion. And Eric Hendricks just came by to say hi to us, so I think that's what you mean, right?
That is exactly what I mean. And whether it's AB, and I've mentioned this before, it's just when you cover these guys, and you're closer to it than I am, but I always saw Anthony as, I don't even want to call it guarded, but certainly not extroverted in front of a microphone or in front of a camera. But then I had simultaneously always heard he was one of the biggest jokers in the locker room. Yeah. And was a guy that kind of brought dudes together. And so now kind of getting to see more of that in the podcast light, and once a person retires and kind of comes to peace with that, and then gets to show that personality the way he did, and then Kendrick's always big smile and just so much fun. So and camp time again during the season when we're recapping hopefully a border battle victory in early September, and we're running down the line and and just rooting for this offense and who's going to be playing QB. Once all those answers are figured out, we're in it. We want W's, but right now there is the Caleb Banks could be a thing. Oh, hey, that's Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks. Hey, that's really like, this is the time of year where when
I forgot to ask Teasley about do you scour social media?
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on. Damn it, Paul. Come on, man.
I'm going to text Sam right now and ask him to come back just for that one question.
Well, I mean, after you went begging Teasley for his cell phone number, why don't you just text him?
Well, if anytime
Can I have your number?
Is it cool if I just kind of like text you and maybe ask you where people's heads were at on a particular play or a game?
And by the way, with Eric Hendricks, I mean, 9 to noon is angling and aiming to become the official radio promotional home of the Bent Out of Shape podcast. That's how much we love those guys and we love this podcast. So, Eric Hendricks is going to join 9 to noon tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, all of them, none of them, 2 of them, who knows? And then Anthony probably will join us next week. Why? Because they're going to be watching Vikings practice, and they know what to look for more than we do.
And the cool thing about the Bent Out of Shape podcast and Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks is they did play this game at a high level. They were compensated fairly for their efforts. Yeah. So we don't have to hit them with the Continental $19,000 a year and an endorsement from Uncle Jimmy.
Yeah. I mean, you want to get... Right. Nordo came up with a great idea when we were chatting with Eric Kendricks off the radio a couple of seconds ago. What would it take for you to come to one Friday football feast a month? So we might need Uncle Jimmy in the 19K with the endorsement. Continental Diamond, Revy, and Andy. Don't leave home without them.
Well, we might have to get Steve's Steve's Appliances in the mix.
Making a marathon with Anthony Barr.
Kinmount Exteriors, Owl Roofing. Get that whole conglomerate in the mix. Marketing at KFAN.com.
There we go. Ask for Lonnie. And with Eric Hendricks, let's not forget that from under the cover of darkness, he hadn't retired. It's kind of like Harry the Hitman. Yeah. He was out of the game. There was kind of, just a feel around the league, I guess, that, Kendricks is not retired. He's still in shape and he still can give you something. And that's kind of the feel with Harry the Hitman, by the way.
It is.
So Fred Warner, stud middle linebacker, green dot guy, as they say in the business, goes down for the 49ers. They bring in Kendricks. All right. Takes him a little while to get up to speed, but let's not forget, in the 2 playoff games the 49ers played last year, they won at Philadelphia, and then they got blown out by Seattle. But in that Philadelphia playoff game, He had 7 solo tackles, 10 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a pass defense deep in the fourth quarter where he left his feet like Superman and knocked away a Jalen Hurts pass that potentially would have won the game for Philadelphia. That was just last postseason, so EK still can bring it, which leads us to a great bit with Anthony Barr whenever we have him on. Hey, Bent Out of Shape podcast. I mean, look at the top podcasts in the country. You have Joe Rogan and then Bent Out of Shape podcast with the linebackers. Well, that's going to be great until, here's the deal. If you like the podcast, which we do, and you want them 9 to noon, which we will have frequently beginning this week and through the season, Barr and Kendricks. Why? Because we are the official radio promotional outlet for the Bent Out of Shape podcast. We've become that. Here's the key. You don't want a linebacker, an inside linebacker for a good team to get hurt. Because, like, if Roquan Smith gets hurt, or if inside linebacker guy for the LA Rams gets hurt, or here, or Green Bay, or whatever, or Chicago. Well, one of the first people they're going to call is Kendricks. And he's still in shape, he still can play, and he's still fast. So if you want to keep that Bent Out of Shape podcast rolling, then you got to make sure all the right linebackers stay healthy.
Oh, my goodness. Well, first, he had 19 tackles in 2 games in the playoffs last year. So Kendricks was busy, and he handled business.
Yep.
EK with the Rams.
I mean, from under the cover of darkness.
Behind Myles Garrett.
Out of nowhere, he played 126 plays.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Wow. Pasadena City College math, though, 73 and 53.
That's what covenant cleanups are for.
Yeah. 73 plays against the Eagles. He had, so that, that's phenomenal to be blessed like that, to come off the layoff and get up to speed and stuff, and then play 73 plays in a wild card playoff game. But we don't need him playing anymore. Let's just keep that Bent Out of Shape podcast going, because 9 to noon is the official radio promotional outlet for the Bent Out of Shape podcast, so we can get him on the radio show at KFAN.
Well, you know what's kind of cool? So you have Gessling in earlier and chatting about things, and just, again, the rube that I am, it's like, what if Briz hit a grand slam with this draft?
That's awesome.
Well, go back in time. Who was part of that 2015 draft? Not just Daniil, not just the Spartan with the 4.3 speed.
Yep.
It was the UCLA kid a year after Anthony Barr came. And he gave us, like 120 games of his career.
So they got Kendricks and Diggs in the same draft?
It would have been, I think Waynes was 14th, or Waynes was 11th overall, because at one point it was him or Javante Parker. That was the kind of the conversation. Then it was Kendricks round 2. It was Daniil round 3.
McKinnon.
Raw athlete. And it was Diggs round 5, 2015.
Wow, that's a hell of a draft right there.
Exactly. So just kind of young cats making plays early. And it was just kind of perfect to kind of see him as part of that, because Gessling kind of nailed it. That you have the draft you do in 2015. This is how quickly well-oiled machine organizations can change things around and go from, just kind of think about the malaise, the way we've talked about draft. We won a lot of games, but we haven't won a playoff game since 2019. Could this be the year? Well, kind of how quickly you can change things is built on a foundation of organic development.
Yeah.
And so if Brzezinski just comes out, we got poison pills here, we got elite drafts there, interim GM everywhere.
Yeah.
And what was it, Matt Thomas of Seattle Equity kind of working behind the scenes during this time as well? What if we hit a little grand slam and we get 2, 3, 4 defenders, young cats playing significant contributing snaps in a rookie season on a good Vikings team? That's kind of how you change things in a very short period of time. And Kendricks was part of that a decade ago.
A team coached by Kevin O'Connell, former coach of the year, and he had an elongated conversation with Dan Barrero yesterday. We played some KO cuts earlier. We're going to play some more around the corner. Let's pause at 11:24. We have the cash thing. Then we're back with some KO cuts on KFAN. So what up?
Indeed, the Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot at some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. This hour's keyword is preset. You made the Fan your preset on the free iHeartRadio app. Well, the keyword is preset, and you can win potentially if you enter it in now at KFAN.com.
from the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell.
Some good news on highways.
Camp Cuts, what you got?
Yeah, welcome back, 9 to noon, and Camp Cuts / KO Cuts. We did it earlier, just the interview that head coach Kevin O'Connell did yesterday with Dan Barrero on the perch during Bumper to Bumper. Awesome conversation between the coach and Bump, but some things I wanted to jump into right out of the gates here is I found this one to be interesting in terms of, and I forget who the quote was from. It may have been Chris Carter. I think it was Chris Carter, but kind of the idea behind, hey, J.J. McCarthy, and he's entering year 3, and that's all good, but maybe it was Kwesi who was driving the idea behind drafting one J.J. McCarthy, and that was Kevin O'Connell just kind of a passenger through it all, and here's kind of how the coach responded to that.
Yeah, I can't really speak to his sources. I will just say this, Dan. It was a time and place in this organization where there was a lot of momentum from me included to draft a quarterback and to try to go get a quarterback that we felt like we can hopefully develop and build around under the premier development of what we thought we can do with time on task, and having a guy like Sam that I had a ton of confidence would go out there and have a great year, and we would figure it out after that. But I wanted the same thing happening now. Then I wanted a competitive daily situation, and JJ, that first training camp, had gone out against the Raiders and played well, and we were going to go to those joint practices, and we were going to, I don't think I would have been asked, are the reps 50-50 or 55-45 or 60-40? I don't think people would have been asking that at that moment. But the only difference between now and then is 10 football games in 3 years. So we're really trying to do a lot of things right now, and with the best interests of A, the Minnesota Vikings and winning games, and B, making sure we give both these guys and really all of our team the best chance to go have success this year, coaching a lot of intricate details and things that matter.
Yeah, that from the conversation, the idea that Kwesi, we got to take a guy and it's got to be this guy, versus probably some conversations that took place leading up to the draft. And the tough thing with, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, or just, he was never going, I don't think J.J. McCarthy was ever slated to start his rookie season, or at least wasn't going to start against the Giants. And you got Andrew Van Ginkel jumping routes against Danny Dimes, and the season was off from there, and it was a fun year indeed with 14 victories. But as far as I know, it was always going to be Sam Darnold. Now, the time on task that Kevin O'Connell mentions, I assume that would be related to health, because he has the knee thing after the Raiders game and he's on the shelf and he's still in the building. He's still learning by osmosis various things, but he's not having time on task. He's not practicing. He's not available or in the mix for the duration of the season. So then fast forward, of course, those 10 games he mentioned, you love the way after really just a clumpy start to the season last year, he muscles up in the fourth quarter and finds a way to win. You're digging that aura. It's an ankle against the Falcons in the season with Wentz and everything. We know how that went. The 10 games, he's mentioned that kind of a couple times now in terms of, we loved what we put together in front of this kid, but the lack of availability and just kind of the disjointed nature of when he's able to get on the field, when he is able to get those reps, that has thrown maybe a not insignificant monkey wrench into the spokes.
Well, the question was, did Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah draft J.J. McCarthy?
Yeah.
So that's.
But he didn't. But he didn't clearly. He didn't go. A guy that former GM. Let's throw him under the bus.
Right. No. What he said was, and I'd have to listen back to the. So what were the croutons? What were the crumbs? What did he give us off which you can build something that's dramatically bigger and accurate? Didn't get enough there, but he said something like, clearly I was very interested in the quarterbacks into that draft.
He mentioned that he was, yes.
Or a quarterback, okay?
And that there was a lot of momentum, I think, was kind of the verbiage. Kind of there was momentum in him included in finding a young QB.
There we go. So, and that was, again, so now what's the context? The context was from... who went first? Caleb Williams.
Yes.
Caleb threw Bo Nix with Jaden Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr. Thank you. So all of them. If he's interested in a quarterback, and by the way, that was the year all those quarterbacks got together and on camera said, well, if there's one coach we all could play for, we would like to play for Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah. Because
they got Jefferson, they got Darisaw, and we like the way he calls plays. So that needs to be part of the context, too. Kevin had an opportunity there to say, well, no, that was all me, and I'm willing to wait through the time on task, injuries, 10 stars, the whole thing. And he chose not to take that opportunity.
Right.
He diverted the conversation. But he did say, I was very interested in something into that draft. So how do we put the chef salad together? The way I put it together is there was one quarterback available that he may or may not have tried to go as hard as you possibly can within reality of what you have to give.
Yeah.
To get to that spot.
Maybe a guy he really, really liked.
Yeah. And for whatever the reason, maybe it didn't work. So now you still are interested in one. Now, the final layer would be, okay, well, does that mean the general manager had the final say power to say, well, they get together and it's like, okay, well, you wanted this one and it couldn't happen. So now we're left with this one or these two or three. What do you want to do? So that's what we're never going to know.
Right.
Was it were they in unison, Kwesi and KO being like, let's say with Penix Jr., McCarthy, and Nix, we want this one? Or did the general manager come over the top and say, we're taking that one? I don't know. I have no idea. But I know Kevin said, very interested in this, and did not say, well, actually, of them all, that's the one I wanted. And we're willing to wait through time on task, injuries, Kyler, and the whole thing. And he didn't. So that's how I look at it.
KO cuts, continuing on later in the conversation. I think it was Mark Craig who Dan Barrero referenced. But, hey, Keith Carter in the mix, right? Keith Carter, offensive line coach. We love Keith.
Yep, he was the assistant last year for Chris Cooper.
Best of luck to Chris Cooper in Philly, but now Keith Carter's the guy. And it was kind of framed this way. Hey, you make that one singular change. I think Frank Smith should be a part of this conversation too. But is it really just
Frank Smith with the tight ends,
an assistant coach? That's going to make all the difference as it pertains to the run game.
Combined a couple things. Keith, I think, is at this point in time in his career with his own path to getting here, coming here off of the experience he had in New York. Keith has coached with and for some phenomenal coaches in the run game. He's got a great understanding of what it's supposed to look like, but most importantly, what it's supposed to feel like. And what I mean by that is I want to be able to stand at the line of scrimmage and feel a physicality and a way we run off the ball and a way we dedicate ourselves, mind, body, and soul, technique, fundamentals, and play style to the schemes we're trying to run. So that's the starting point. So I would look at Keith as really the engine behind that element. And then Frank Smith is a guy I wanted to bring in because Frank, working 4 years for a good friend of mine and Mike McDaniel, I really value Frank's ability to come in here, and after 4 years, sometimes you need somebody to pop the hood and just kind of take an overall assessment and then apply, some of the things that they've acquired in a totally different time and space that they can then come in here. And Frank's really smart. He's a really great communicator, and he's somebody that I can lean on, Wes can lean on, Keith can lean on, and really think tank the best way to get back to the true nature of what I believe efficient football is, which is running the football at a level that you can then impact some decision making out of the defense? Sure. Do we still want to play this Justin Jefferson program? Do we still want to, play this as we're going to defend the pass on the way to stopping the run? You can't do that if we get to where we want to get to in the run game. And then the second phase of that is how do we marry it all together? How do we make the play style of that run game marry with how we play action? How the deception of people think everything starts out looking at the same, but it's different because we come off the football the same way every time. And as the head coach, I can't coach that on a daily basis. I can ask of it. I can hope that the individual drills and the team drills are tied to that. But in the end, I need somebody to conduct that orchestra.
And that somebody is Keith Carter, who was here last year and he was elevated. And Chris Cooper goes to Philadelphia. Okay. And Howie Roseman, the GM for Philadelphia, I mean, they snatched him up in a minute. So we love Chris around here. I've gotten to know Keith incredibly well over the last year. You're going to love him too. But the Frank Smith aura continues to envelop and permeate through the Vikings offense. And Kevin O'Connell just offered up that crouton. So you got assistant head coach Frank Smith, former offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. You have certain facets of the zone running scheme that when we get to the regular season, you see a little of it now, probably see a little of it in the preseason, but we're not going to see what the prime cuts are, the choice cuts, prime cuts, however you want to qualify it, until the regular season begins. And now you're hearing with the running game, the assistant head coach is also factored into the offensive line, like you said.
Yeah.
I believe it also will involve the tight ends. So Frank has his hands in a lot of things here. That's how well respected he is. You know, I had an off the microphone conversation yesterday as I was leaving practice with Jordan Mason. And, you know, I asked Jordan just like what was new in the off season, stuff like that. And he told me about his training regimen, some things he laid off, some things he amplified because he's having a really good camp. But, you know, then we started talking a little bit about the running game. And if you're going to play in this running system, you're going to have to get wide. And the Vikings can use that as an advantage. We discussed it a little bit yesterday. When Mason's in the game, defensive coordinators initially are going to have to look at it like this. He's not as fast as the other guys. We ain't worrying about him outside the numbers, and he's not going to catch. So he either needs to his cuts this camp have been fantastic. And with this running scheme, the slow rolling nature of it, then the hard cut because there's the hole, that's the key. Well, there are going to be some who think Jordan can't do it. Jordan thinks he very much can do it and is very much going to be part of it. So you can't come into games with one of your backs who plays a lot having two tells.
Right.
He's only between the tackles, bump and grind guy, and and you don't throw to him. So one of those needs to be fixed. And I fully believe it's going to be getting him outside and hitting holes. He's going to have to do it, and he's doing it quite well this camp.
My last KO cut, it's about 90 seconds, but he was talking about just kind of being on the simulcast as he's done in previous preseasons, and maybe the idea of continuing. Let's make that a yearly occasion with the head coach on the simulcast.
You know, one of the things, it was an idea that Sean McVay, when I was in L.A., he did something similar. It wasn't exactly the same. He didn't have the actual coaching headset on, and I only wear one side. Right. So I said, why don't I put the earpiece in my right ear, and I could hear PA and Pete and Ben and just the broadcast, the clock counting down in and out of breaks and things, but I could also still coach and have the headset. So it is pretty wild, but it's also something that I kind of enjoy because it gives people insight into that is what my mind is doing during each and every play, whether we're on offense, we're on defense, in the kicking game, my friendly banter with the officials.
Yes.
Even in a preseason game, I want the players on the field to do well, and I want them to have the best chance to show not only us but the whole league what they can do. So you're constantly trying. I may not be calling those plays, but I might give Wes a suggestion, or I might talk to the guys during the break about defensively. Hey, they're running a lot of this,
sure.
and Flo may not be calling it, but Flo and I are having dynamic about back and forth about the game. But I do enjoy it, and I think about the fan of
it helps.
It's a preseason game, and we might not have Justin Jefferson and all of our guys out there, but I thought it would be. I would want to watch it if I was, if it was one of the other 31 head coaches doing it. A, to see if they could, because there's a lot going on, and B, I just think it's entertaining, and that's what we're. That's the number one reason.
That was really cool. Dan went down that road, and it's greatly appreciated. I don't know how many years Pete and I, and then Ben in the equation, have had the privilege of doing the simulcast where you can watch the Giants, Ravens, and Broncos preseason games on Fox 9 while listening to them on KFAN and the Minnesota Vikings audio network. Okay, but I really, really enjoy calling those games on TV. I only get like 2 or 3 cracks a year, and it's taken a while to get used to having somebody talk in your ear and just slowing down from radio to TV. So I really enjoy them. But what I enjoy most is Kevin O'Connell when he joins on the sideline during the games. It's been a career highlight for me personally.
It's awesome.
But here's why: is because Kevin does it like this. He'll be like, all right, guys, we're going to run the ball to the right. It's key that Brandel gets out and blocks Schobert.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't happen, the play's not going to work. Then there's the play. And Kevin's mic's hot. And you hear him be like, come on. I'm just using Blake as an example. Come on, Blake. Come on. The linebacker got around him. And then I'll be like 2-yard gain, 2nd and 8. And then Kevin will explain what was supposed to happen. It now is 2nd and 8. He has Wes Phillips giving the play to the quarterback in one ear and us in the other. So then he'll pause and say, okay, Wes has called play action, and the key here is tight end Gavin Bartholomew chipping his guy at the line because they're blitzing and getting open up the post. And then we watch the play. It's unbelievable. It's been a career highlight for me. I know everybody enjoys it, watching and listening to it, but without Kevin doing it the way he does it and acquiescing and being as amenable and fan conscious as he is, it wouldn't be as good as it is. So that's going to be, I believe, in the 4th quarter of the Broncos game, the 3rd preseason game. Kevin O'Connell for the entire quarter. Nolan Teasley will join the broadcast in the Denver game also, so we'll double up that game. And I'm pretty sure Justin Jefferson is going to join for the 3rd quarter in the Ravens home game.
Oh, sweet.
May have Metellus in the Giants game, but not sure. Probably nobody in that game, but maybe. But Justin Jefferson on the simulcast, Fox 9 and KFAN, in the Ravens game, and O'Connell in the Broncos game.
I mean, as we were talking about earlier, the touch points you get. And I know, Ben, some of the work that he'll be doing, maybe access. You've seen him doing those interviews with defensive players that maybe don't have to play that game, or an offensive player. See Tatum Everett has jumped in and done a lot of those. And she'll be doing a lot of those too, yeah.
And they're awesome. It gives you the human nature side of things and what it's like to not play in a game and get yourself ready for the season. So the Vikings Entertainment Network, which puts these simulcasts on, Steve Johnson's our producer. He's done it for years. They have really, really, in my opinion, struck a balance between all of us to put us all in the best positions to do what we do, hopefully as well as we can do it in preseason games. Because like Nolan Teasley, the GM, intimated about a half hour ago when he was on 9 to noon, I asked him, the joint practices, I made a statement, I think, they've become more important than the preseason games, haven't they? And he kind of agreed because of the competitive nature over 2 days of the ones versus ones. And hey, we got Jefferson and Addison here, and we're working on this. Can you play this defense a few plays?
They get to manage their own environment.
Yeah. And then say Baltimore's like, all right, well, we're working on Lamar's play action from under center, getting him to turn his back on defenses. Can you not send the Flores kitchen sink 3 plays in a row so we can work on this? Joint practices are the absolute bomb.
Yeah, they are.
And if you're coming to the facility for one of those two, you're going to get paid because they're absolutely awesome. Great job by Bumper to Bumper. Podcast at KFAN.com, 3 to 6:30 on demand. And the Owl Roofing postgame is next.
You're listening to PA, live from training camp on The Fan. Presented by the Minnesota Sports and Events Golden Ticket. All right.
Owl Roofing. Ooh. OwlRoofing.com. Thank you very much for picking up the tab on the post game. And like Nordo said earlier, if anybody wants to sponsor something 9 to noon or on KFAN, big businesses, small businesses, anything in between, give us a chance to help you. We think you'll be very satisfied if you look at the past performances of businesses that have worked with 9 to noon or KFAN, and write to marketing@KFAN.com and make the letter out to Lonnie. Marketing@KFAN.com. Owl Roofing, fantastic people. They have picked up the freight for the post game. OwlRoofing.com.
Well, I can't speak for you, the host. I will say, it's the ability to have the general manager here and just kind of dive into the dynamic. And I'm not saying that this was vastly different with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. Well, there are aspects of it now with Nolan Teasley that are worlds different. There's no doubt about that.
Kwesi wasn't an evaluator, and Nolan said, "I'm an evaluator."
See, but that's interesting to me that it was important to him to denote that.
Yeah.
Because I felt, and I'm not saying that this was intentional, but, with some of these guys, maybe everything's a little calculated when you're speaking to the public about this. And I don't foresee that Kwesi was clomping on KO on a daily basis. It just kind of struck me a little bit that Nolan really went out of his way to make sure, just so you guys understand here, there's a line. And I'm on this side of the line. And, I'm kind of not that he's hands off. All GMs are part of all the conversations, but it was really important for him to note that, what you're seeing on the field on a day-to-day basis, that Kevin O'Connell has constructed this thing and created this environment, and that Nolan Teasley is really very much, whether it was the Jamal Adams edition, will we see a potential edge rusher, or, we've talked to, you got that $21 million in your pocket, it's burning a hole in it. What are you going to use it for if it is an edge rusher, et cetera? That clearly that Nolan's like, well, that is my focus. Yeah. The evaluation side, the personnel side, good football players, bringing them into the building. I'm on that side. And I enjoyed that conversation.
And podcast that at KFAN.com started about 10:50. Also, Ben Gessling, Star Tribune, was here at 9:45. And from 10 o'clock on, we got into some really good Vikings football topics. Podcast that too, 9 to noon on demand at KFAN.com. Thank you, Devin Ward. Thank you, Eric Nordquist. Thank you, Vikings PR, for the assistance with Nolan Teasley. And thank all of you for listening to a Northern Fire Tuesday, Talker Tuesday at FM 100.3 KFAN. I'm Paul Allen.